What's up, you pirates? It's DisThunder from thefoosh.com. Today, I am very pleased and rather excited to be here to talk about the Mezco Toyz 112 Collective Captain Nemo figure. Captain Nemo is actually one of my favorite fictional characters and one of the few of those favorites that does not come from comic books, though obviously he made his way into those as well. And easily the oldest character of that roster, having made his first appearance in, of course, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which was published in 1870 by, of course, Jules Verne. He also shows up in the sequel book of sorts, The Mysterious Island, that was about 5 or 6 years later. And he's one of the few things that I can honestly say I enjoyed learning about in public school. In fact, I remember having a rather spirited debate with a teacher once about whether Captain Nemo was an anti-hero or a villain. I tend to think of him more as an anti-hero. As I get older, it's kind of funny. I identify with his personal politics more. Even his name, so Nemo is Latin for nobody, because he feels like he is completely disenchanted and disenfranchised with modern society. So he's decided to take to the seas and make his own rules and kind of abide by his own self-ascribed code of honor. I could get behind something like that. And as a character, I find it interesting that this is one of Mez's personal favorites too. More to that point, one of the very first Mezco figures I ever bought, which would have been right after Silent Screamers, was the Mezco Toyz Captain Nemo figure. God only knows what happened to it. I hope I didn't sell it, but if I did, I hope it went to a good home. But clearly it made a lasting impression on the both of us, if nobody else, because he was all too eager to revisit it 20 years later, and I'm all too happy to be right back there with him. Lately, I've been more content to kind of lay back and do ambient music and not talk so damn much during the review, but this is a unique case, and I felt like I had to get into a little bit of the pros before we talk about the actual figure. Sorry about that. Captain Nemo is really the OG as far as steampunk goes, because it all starts with Jules Verne. But I like how he's a nice balance of intricate and detailed and ornate, I guess you could say, as well, but still simple in some places. Like the uniform stays simple, but his belt and his armor are very intricate. So there are several attachment points along those belts that you can hang his sword and his dagger, and then there's the leg drop holster we'll get into a little more detail. This particular configuration with the bone knife on his back is my preferred look, but there's no wrong answer. And while it's just a simple tab system, I like how everything stays relatively securely, especially how well that sword tabs into the hilt. Like, it does not go anywhere, and that's a beautiful sword. I'm going to talk a little bit about articulation here and demonstrate, because I don't know that we've seen this body before. It feels similar to like a Daredevil's style, like that medium build, but I'm not certain. But that means he has double elbows, double knees, he has the butterfly joints. Oh, and before I forget, that tab right there, that is where the armor hooks on. When I talk about the stuff coming out later, that'll become important. But as you can see, the pleather material on the pants does limit you somewhat as far as your range goes, but I think it's adequate for the character, and I'm not that worried about it. And while Captain Nemo is absolutely a man of action, it feels more expressive articulation than, say, specifically action poses. I'm going to adjust the angle here a little bit, and we can talk about that thigh drop holster. So currently it has the spark lock pistol in it. With its holster, you can see it tabs in via 2 tabs, but you can also put his spyglass, which has its own holster, on there as well, and spyglass stores very securely in there once you telescope it, and that would peg in just the same. In the package, it comes with this small leg drop pouch that pegs in there. You guessed it, the exact same way, which is not a bad look either. I'm wondering if there's another way you could attach that elsewhere on his belt, but not that I could see. As for me, though, I think I'm going to leave it with the pistol holster on there. Imagine that, right? And as I said, the knife sheath and the cutlass sheath are both just tabbed in there, just a simple single peg and tab. And like I said, they do work pretty well. I also wanted to briefly go over the Harpoon Arm Attachment, because if you're like me, you might have overthought this out of the box. I was thinking you had to remove the whole forearm piece, and obviously, no, it's just attaching to the wrist peg like you would any other alternate hand. As you're probably seeing here just a little bit, that reel on top does move, so you can reel back in the rope attached to the harpoon. At least you can if you don't have sausage fingers and you're trying to do it on camera. The whole harpoon hand, mechanical hand thing is kind of interesting because as far as I can remember, I don't think ever explicitly in either book, well, certainly not in 20,000 Leagues, ever mentioned that he has such an injury. But the earliest Mezco figures both have mechanical hands on it. So as far as continuity of the Mezco Captain Nemo, it's definitely a part of it. And in further reference of that, he comes with, in fact, his left hand and the jaw of, no doubt, the bastard shark that took it from him, with the date 1869 on the plaque. That's interesting because, if I'm not mistaken, I think that puts whatever event that was after 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and definitely after Mysterious Island. I've been talking accessories kind of loosely as we go here, but he comes with the spark lock pistol. He also comes with his cutlass. He has a couple of navigational aids like his sextant that I showed on the table and his spyglass. We, of course, have already talked about his missing left hand and where it ended up. And there is, of course, the bone knife that we talked about. The cloak and hat you see him wearing in some of these still pictures I've included. And lastly, he comes with a data book that gives you some details on the stuff that I'm talking about, and a small-scale Nautilus, probably like a 1/44 scale or something like that. I haven't opened that yet, but when I get around to working out a potential Nautilus vehicle of some kind, it may come in handy. And as I'm recording this on the weekend of the 22nd in January, Captain Nemo's other big accessories are still available on Mezco's website. That, of course, would be the Nautilus Crew 2-pack, which gives you exclusive D-Amazing and DisThunder variant heads. Just kidding. D-Amazing doesn't wear glasses. And there is also a new Wave Rider, which is revisiting the original second Nemo figures accessory from the early 2000s. And as a last point of interest, both of those accessory sets were mentioned in the data book, and there is a third, which is a Captain Nemo in a Nautilus dive suit, which hopefully is something we get to see as well, hopefully in the near future. Oh, well, there was also a multicolor skull set that went up at the same time as well, so if you want to get more bang for your buck on the shipping, hey, go for all three. And that about wraps this one up. Thanks again to Mezco Toyz for sending this my way. Thank you to you guys for watching, and we'll talk again soon.